the 8 a.m. podcast, presented by Train the Teacher.
Hello and welcome. Today, we're going to go on a pretty cool linguistic journey. And trust me, it's one that will totally change the way you see the words you use every single day. We're about to uncover a hidden history, a secret connection that links your home, your food, and even your biggest ideas directly to the Indian subcontinent. So, let me just start with a question for you. Think about this for a second. Your pajamas, soft, comfy sleepwear. Then you have the word loot, which has a really harsh, kind of violent history. And then there's karma, a really deep spiritual concept. So what on earth could possibly connect these three things?
Well, the answer is that they all come from the same place, the Indian subcontinent. Yep, they are all words that traveled thousands of miles and across centuries from Indian languages to become a part of English. And their stories, they're absolutely fascinating.
Okay, let's dive into this. And we're going to start somewhere super familiar, your own home. You're probably surrounded by these linguistic treasures and you don't even know it. They're literally hiding in plain sight.
Let's start in the bathroom with the word shampoo. Now, when it first entered the English language, it didn't mean the liquid soap we use today, not at all. It came from the Hindi word champo, which is actually a command meaning to massage. It was all about the act of massaging the scalp, a practice brought to Britain from India way back in the 18th century. The product we know today came much, much later.
And shampoo is just the tip of the iceberg. The word for your cozy pajamas, it comes from the Hindi for leg garment. That single-story house, the bungalow, well, that's from Bangala, meaning a house in the Bengal style. Even the khaki clothes you might be wearing come from a word that just means dust-colored. Our homes are practically built with these words.
But, not all of these words are so cozy. This one has a much darker history. The word loot is a direct borrowing from the Hindi word loot, and it means plunder or robbery. It entered English during the time of the British Empire in India, and its meaning hasn't changed one bit. It's a powerful, direct, and brutally honest word for what it describes.
And this just brilliantly shows the power and range of this linguistic influence. The word juggernaut, which we use all the time to describe some unstoppable force, comes from Jagannatha, a name for the Hindu deity Vishnu. Early European visitors saw these enormous chariots carrying the deity's idol in processions and were just completely overwhelmed by their scale. And from that, they created this powerful metaphor that we still use today.
All right, let's move on to the next part of our journey and see how this influence goes from our homes right into our kitchens. For centuries, the spice trade connected India to the rest of the world, and that trade didn't just carry goods, it carried words.
This is basically a menu of borrowed words. The curry we all love comes from the Tamil word kardi, which simply means sauce. And the chutney you have with it, that's from Hindi. Even pantry staples like mango and sugar trace their roots all the way back to Tamil and Sanskrit. You could say our vocabulary has been seasoned by the history of the spice trade.
Okay, so now let's step out of the house and the kitchen and head out into the wild. Because this linguistic influence isn't just about the things we build or eat, it's also about how we name the natural world itself. Now this one might seem a little obvious, but it's so fundamental. The word jungle, which English speakers use to describe dense, tropical forests all over the planet, is a direct lift from the Hindi word jungle, which just means forest or wasteland, a simple word that has come to define an entire ecosystem in our imagination.
And it just makes sense, right? When European explorers encountered animals they'd never seen before, they often just adopted the local names. So the cheetah gets its name from the Hindi word for spotted. The mongoose comes from Marathi. Even the cobra, while it came to English through Portuguese, got its name from traders who first met the snake in India. We literally see these animals through a linguistic lens that was first shaped on the subcontinent.
So far, we've talked about things, objects, foods, animals. But maybe the most profound contributions weren't for things at all. Maybe they were for incredibly powerful ideas. Concepts that have traveled the globe and have really shaped how millions of people think about life itself.
First up is a word that pretty much everyone in the world knows now, karma. It comes directly from the Sanskrit word karma, which means action, work, or deed. It embodies this whole spiritual principle that a person's actions in this life will determine their fate in future lives, a concept that has gone completely global.
And flowing from karma is the equally powerful idea of dharma. Now, this one's a little more complex, but the Sanskrit root dharma points to one's duty or virtue or the cosmic law that governs everything. It's this idea that there's a right way to live, a path you should follow that's in alignment with the universe itself.
So, if you follow your dharma and you generate good karma, where does that lead? Well, for many, the goal is nirvana. The Sanskrit word nirvana literally means blowing out, as in extinguishing the fires of desire and suffering to achieve this state of incredible peace and liberation.
And finally, let's look at a word that has made an absolutely incredible journey into our digital lives: avatar. In Sanskrit, avatara means descent, and it describes a deity showing up in an earthly form. Isn't it just fascinating that we now use this 3,000-year-old idea to describe our digital selves, manifesting in the world of a video game or on social media?
And this influence just runs deeper and deeper into our concepts of wisdom and practice. I mean, when we seek a guru or listen to a pundit, practice yoga, or repeat a mantra, we're using the vocabulary of teaching, knowledge, and discipline that was gifted to English straight from Sanskrit.
So what does all of this mean? We've gone from our pajamas to the very nature of the universe. We've seen how history, trade, empire, spiritual exchange, how it all shapes the words we use without us even realizing it.
Ultimately, what this shows us is that English isn't just some static thing. It's a living, breathing museum of human interaction. Every single word has a story, and our vocabulary is this beautiful testament to centuries of global connection and conversation and cultural exchange. These aren't just borrowed words, they're shared stories.
And that really just leaves us with a final thought. If so much history can be hidden away in words we thought we knew so well, what other stories are just waiting to be discovered in the language we speak every single day? It's definitely something to think about.